Yo, what's good everyone? It's Ray X Ray. Long time no see, but I'm back better than ever. Today, I'm breaking down my tournament win in Manchester. I travelled with my team to play in the God of Braves Last Chance Qualifier. To qualify for the God of Braves All-Star Tournament, which was to happen on the same day, I went 9-0, undefeated in the Last Chance Qualifier, had an exceptional tournament, and I can't wait for you guys to watch through this video and see how exactly I did that. Unfortunately, I actually lost in the first round of the God of Braves All-Star Tournament. I lost in a round of 16. Really close match, but I don't actually have the footage because I ran out. How convenient. However, can't wait to share with you guys my undefeated streak and break down how exactly I did that. If you guys like this video, leave a like and subscribe. And thank you very much for everyone that's been watching my videos up until this point. I'm really putting in a lot more effort into the YouTube now. So I hope you guys stick with me throughout that journey. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you make it to the end, or if you just watch 1 minute, I'm incredibly grateful. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy this one, and I'll see you next time. Cool, so we open up with Shark Scale. I'm doing this because I really just want to attack out the gate and get as many points as possible. And then I'm going to try to defend second, and that turns out to be a great strategy because I end up getting the extreme finish here and opening the game with 3 points, which was the best case scenario. I'm pretty much comfortable in this position to not bottle the lead because I know that I'm not going to pull hard or do anything unnecessary that could warrant this game becoming, you know, incredibly difficult for myself. So in spite of the fact that I had Meteor Dragoon second, I knew I was going to play this counter-attacking style when I saw that Emperor Blast, which, by the way, saw a lot throughout this tournament, and it's still very much in the meta. The sheer weight and impact that the Blast Blade has with the heavy assist blade and the Emperor Lock chip just make this really difficult to play. I believe my opponent was actually using a Valk Lock chip on this one. But the weight made it difficult. However, Meteor Dragoon doing what I needed to do to secure that 1 point. So that we open the tournament for 1 win, 4-0. My second opponent is against a kid, which, if you know anything about playing kids, is that they're very, very difficult to play. They almost you kind of have to throw the rulebook out the window. No hard launching. Soft launching is not what you want to do. You kind of just want to match their power most of the time, and you'll see that I definitely did not do that initially and put myself in a really bad position because I actually launched not incredibly too hard, but it just kind of took off, and my opponent secures 3 points. I'm very much worried at this point because obviously the reverse has happened. However, I played the brutal strategy. It's really cutthroat, but that's just to kind of power my way to a win. No hard launching, just trying to, you know, aim for the spin finish. Pulling with a certain amount of power, that just means that I can, you know, beat them in the stamina game due to power, but also not enough that I risk losing the game from here. So I end up securing the 1 point with Meteor Dragoon. It's an amazing Beyblade. Honestly, I've come to really, really love Meteor Dragoon in my deck. I don't see myself taking it out at the moment. I don't see myself changing this deck until I need to anyway. As you'll see, because I didn't drop a game in this tournament. So Wizard Rod, I got Mummy Cursed. Mummy Cursed was an ace for me this entire tournament. And at this point in time, I actually do the opposite of what I just said, and I pull really, really hard. Now, the reason I pull really hard here is because I know I'm going to be stationary, and Mummy Curse is not going to get blown, you know, out the way due to recoil. It's going to tank well. It's going to sit in the middle and fight for that ground against Wizard Rod. And the one thing I can count on is the fact that I can launch harder than my opponent and aim to get those spin finishes. Obviously, it's really difficult with Wizard Rod because it is still Wizard Rod. You know, it's still a problem in the meta, although it's easily it's easier to play against now, but it's still Wizard Rod. And Mummy Curse just does an amazing job of destabilizing and using its weight, which honestly I've come to really understand that the 37 grams has become the benchmark for performance in terms like overall performance and metals. It's a perfect weight. And as you can see here, we're both toppling, so I am nervous. However, the Wizard Rod definitely worse off, and I am able to secure another 1 point, keeping myself in the game. I know I'm still down, so I know it can all go left from here. So on the reshuffle, I'm going through the 1-pointers. I'm playing for the 1 point, so I don't want to do anything silly. I've got 2 attack types, 1 defense. So I kind of just try to think real hard about what my opponent might do, and I think I really anticipated it well. Decide to play Shark Scale in the event that if he does play an attack type, I can counter it. And again, I do the same thing where I just pull hard, and my opponent gets some really big hits, and this match ends up becoming a lot more chaotic than I wanted it to be. But it is an attack v attack. I should have known that. But best case scenario, again, just pull it harder. Shark doesn't go out. I get the 1 point. It's game on. And now I know that come second, I've got Mummy Curse. I've got full confidence in this. And my opponent puts Wizard Rod second. And I know all I need to do is repeat the same strategy from the last mirror match, and I should end up securing the 1 point. Obviously, there's no guarantee that that will happen. But as you can see, my opponent launches quite hard across the stadium. And at that point, I'm quite comfortable that I've won. He's burned too much stamina in that one move. So I don't anticipate he'll beat me. Again, I know it's Wizard Rod, so I know I very much can lose. But considering what happened in the mirror, I knew that a very similar thing was going to play out here, and that I was going to be able to secure the 1 point. And then at this point, after those big hits, I'm a bit more worried because Mummy doesn't look as stable as it did in the previous mirror, and it's kind of going across the stadium. However, once we get to this point, I'm quite confident that Wizard Rod is absolutely fighting for its life here, and after those big hits, it's looking the worse off. And as each hit comes, I'm just certain that I've got the 1 point, and I've managed to pull the comeback. I end up bowing to my opponent because I really had to pull out all the strategies for that. Alright, so my next opponent is another kid once again. I actually played rock paper scissors to change the sides because I was aware that he was using Meteor Dragoon because he played one of my teammates. So I decided to put him to play for the sides so that I could be on the X side to give myself the advantage here. I ended up being a left v left matchup, so I knew that I just couldn't, self KO. Again, just pulling hard enough that I can just aim for the spin finish, which I'm able to do comfortably, getting myself 1 point on the board. Playing kids is incredibly difficult, like I said before. It's one of them things where it's just fine margins that can really dictate whether you win or lose. I end up putting Mummy Curse second in the event that he had an attacker, which he did. And I knew at this point all I had to do was really just pull hard. He ended up mislaunching here, which works in my favor because oftentimes you mislaunch, you might, mentally could psych you out. So I stay comfortable. Again, we go to the reshoot. Pulls. He doesn't pull very hard, which I anticipate. Obviously, that can still get me knocked out of the stadium. But Mummy Curse is my ace Beyblade. I'm pretty much confident in it. The only times where I'm not is when I'm facing the Dragoon Elevate. And as you can see here, comfortably getting the spin finish. So then I noticed that Wizard Rod was actually higher. I believe it was on a 380 and I am on the 360 LR. So I knew that if I could just get clean contact, I am able to just boom it. And that's exactly what I do, get the extreme finish, winning the game 4-0. Yeah, good win. Exactly what I needed. At this point in time, I'm 3-0, I believe. I'm 3-0. And then my next opponent, funny enough, is BeybladeX, who I know really well from local scene. We've played each other before. It's currently 1-1. I've beaten him once, he's beaten me once. The difficulty in playing somebody that you know is that they kind of counter, right? They play counter. They know how you play, and they can kind of anticipate what Beyblades you're going to put first, like your order. And the funny thing is, I knew that going into this match, so I decided to put Mamika second, which psyched Shane out. So it's a left matchup, Meteor versus Cobalt Dragoon. I'm able to just hit it hard enough, it doesn't even get a chance to do its spin still, just completely knock it out of the park and get myself 1 point on the board. BeybladeX actually told me that he put Dragoon first to counter Mummy, and that is actually what would have helped me win this match mentally. So I had my Mummy Curse second up against Shark. Again, big contact again from the Shark. This match is oftentimes feels 50-50. Shark is the best Beyblade in the game, and Mummy Curse feels like a direct counter. It's almost it's the immovable object to the unstoppable force in Beyblade, in my opinion, these two Beyblades. There's just heavy tilt from Mummy Curse since it's on wedge 760, but the stability in the later game helps. I get the spin finish, put me 2 up. And I'm pretty confident at this point in time that I'm going to close out. So I know it's high recoil, Hover Wyvern versus Shark, so I know this can swing either way. And it ends up being a much more high octane match than I was hoping for. At this point, I'm just afraid that my Shark's going to self-KO or get pocketed. But then, as you can see, it kind of just takes the sting out of it. And I get another spin finish, put me 3 up, 1 reshuffle. And at this point, I'm pretty certain BeybladeX's going to put Cobalt Dragoon first. He needs the 1 point at the bare minimum, and it's the most secure of his deck choice to go Dragoon first. I anticipate that correctly. And again, I put Meteor Dragoon first, kind of anticipating that he thinks that I'm going to put Mummy Curse first, but I don't. I decided to go Meteor. But as you can see, I actually just messed this one up. Because I panic, I don't really want to self-KO. Well, that happens. This happens a lot with Meteor Dragoon. It just ends up flying out the stadium, which is really annoying. And this psychs me out because I end up pulling way less harder than I normally would. I'm just reassembling the Beyblade because obviously it's hit the ground, so I don't want to make sure that it's not loose. But yeah, that ended up psyching me out here because I choose not to pull hard in this moment, and it actually costs me 1 point. Just goes around the stadium, no contact, burn a lot of stamina, and complete opposite scenario from what happened the first time around. I don't get those big hits off, and I end up just losing a ton of stamina. This is Cobalt Dragoon's element. As you can see, Meteor just dies, and BeybladeX gets the 1 point. At this point, again, I'm just trying to stay confident. I know that I've got Mamika second, so regardless of what BeybladeX put second, I was confident that I would get the point and close this game out. So I'm going up against Hover Wyvern, which was actually, it's more favorable for Mummy Curse. I prefer playing Hover Wyvern, only because I'm confident that it won't boom it compared to Shark. And I'm able to do that. I end up launching into the corner to avoid the initial onslaught. And as you can see here, just tanking hits, just refusing to get sent out of the stadium. Mummy Curse is an absolute ferocious Beyblade, and as you can see there, just absolutely smashes Hover Wyvern. I win that match 4-1, putting me 4-0, and yeah, again, comfortable. Surprised that I hadn't lost at this point, but you know, we take our wins regardless. Alright, moving on to round 5. I believe my opponent was, we were the only undefeated people currently. Again, I go with the same strategy, open with Meteor Dragoon against Impact Drake, and I get the extreme finish. Again, just incredibly favorable you know, it's the best case scenario when you open up the match and you get an extreme finish, because from that point on, I'm confident in my ability to defend the lead, especially with Mummy Curse putting that second. That's usually the game plan. I go out and attack, try to get as many points as possible, and then defend the lead, because I know that my opponent has the uphill battle and really has to go for it. And as you can see here, that strategy works out perfectly. Again, Shark Scale, absolute ferocious. Mummy Curse is the only Beyblade, other than the Shark Mirror, where I feel completely confident in its ability to hang in there. Other than Meteor Dragoon, Elevate, of course. I wouldn't say Wizard Rod 160 Hexa, only because of Hexa catching the rail going absolutely nuts. So yeah, at this point, 5-0. Last match is Swiss. I'm the only EXO, and yeah, again, I've already secured my spot in the top 8. So I know regardless of what happens here, I've made it, but I wanted to win anyway. Again, opening with Meteor Dragoon, again, another extreme finish. And I'm just feeling insanely confident at this point. Again, best case scenario, first round, first matchup, 3 points. At this point, cruise control. I know that my opponent has the uphill battle. Going up against Rod on, I believe this was on the 360 ball. And funny enough, I'd been out spinning Wizard Rods throughout the day, and this was the one time where it actually didn't work. And I think it had mostly to do with the fact that I didn't get hits in early enough, because the whole point of Mummy Curse beating Wizard Rod on spin is that it destabilizes it and it uses its weight to, you know, to get the spin finish, smash it. And that doesn't happen. I end up in the territory of Wizard Rod, and as you can see here, this is just not favorable for Mummy Curse. The last thing you want to do is go tango for tango with Wizard Rod. There's big hits, but the problem is because it came so much later in the game, I ended up being on the receiving end of the worst contact, and my opponent gets 1 point. Again, not panicking here. I see that we're both going to attack the attack, and I'm confident that if I could just launch correctly, I could just weight bully here. In fact, I say weight bully, but it's more just the fact that Shark Scale is better shaped than Phoenix Wing, because they weigh about the same. If anything, Phoenix Wing is actually heavier. But the weight distribution of Shark Scale is much better, and as you can see here, just completely dominate the Phoenix Wing. And that puts me 6-0. I finished Swiss 6-0, undefeated, going into top 8. Incredibly confident, but I'm also afraid of undefeated Curse, because in Beyblade Locals, whenever you go undefeated in Swiss, that first round of top cut is brutal. But we go into top 8, and I'm already in panic mode because my opponent gets a filthy burst, and at this point I'm just thinking, stay calm, relax. It's to 7 points. All I need to do is stay calm and take it matchup by matchup, and we can claw it back. Although I'm also panicking because I'm like, here comes the undefeated Curse, where I'm just gonna lose the first round of Swiss and then have to fight for a top 5 spot in the God of Braves tournament. Again, going up against Wizard Rod, try to rectify what I couldn't do the last time, which was get the early hits in. Rod burnt so much stamina in the beginning, so at this point I'm actually very, very confident I'm going to win the spin finish. The thing about Wizard Rod 160 Hexa is that if you can hit it early enough in the game and it catches the rail, provided that you're using a Beyblade that's, you know, you're aiming for stability, like in this case Mummy Curse and Wedge, then I should be fine, right? And that's exactly what happens here. But again, I'm losing steam, but I know I've got way more in the tank than Rod, considering it went absolutely nuts on the rail. And I rectified a mistake from my previous match, get the spin finish, and I'm confident now. I've got the point. Game's still on. You know, it's a long way to go. But this matchup, my word, this is the bane of my life matchup, because I didn't want to pull too hard in self-KO here. But I know I needed a lot of power to get rid of, it wasn't even Emperor Blast, it's actually Valkyrie Blast with the heavy assist blade, so it's incredibly heavy. and even Shark Scale's going to struggle against that weight. And as you can see, I don't boom it out, and once we get to this point, I'm pretty certain that I've lost. Especially since I'm on no rush, I just knew that the weight bully was coming into effect. I've done it to other people, so I knew exactly what to expect here. So I'm down 3-1, going into the reshuffle, and I'm just trying to assess what the best case scenario is here in terms of opening, you know, and I decided to play Mummy Curse first, actually, anticipating that my opponent was going to try and attack out the gate, give himself a bigger lead, and I called correct. I played Mummy Curse against Shark. Again, played this matchup quite a few times in the tournament, so I was confident that I was going to be able to get at least 1 point. Mummy Curse is looking absolutely amazing in that stadium. The stability is just amazing, honestly. TT knocked it out the ballpark with Mummy Curse. This is without a doubt my favorite Beyblade in the game, hands down. And as you can see, I get the 1 point, which again works out in my favor. But then the bad matchup, which was having to face the Valkyrie Blast, I just knew I was probably going to lose this. I wasn't confident in winning this matchup. I do pull harder this time. I get a really big hit off there. I ended up having to move my deck box because I was worried it was going to fall off the stadium. And yeah, again, just that the sheer weight is just ridiculous. Like, it's so hard to get past, and my opponent ends up getting the spin finish as I kind of expected he would, and it's 4-2 to my opponent. Again, staying confident, the game's not done yet, although I know one extreme finish sends me out. Again, quite confident in my ability to turn around the result here. And knowing that he had Wizard Rod on Hexa last and I had Meteor Dragoon, I knew this is all about placement. And as you can see, I absolutely I lock in here, and I kind of just angle the launch so that I can catch the Wizard Rod going across the stadium close to the pockets. Happens much later, but in fact it just takes off. Hexa will do that, and I get the extreme finish. And for the first time in this match, I take the lead. Going into the reshuffle, I'm up this time, so I know my opponent is going to attack. I'm confident that my opponent was going to attack out the gate because I've now taken the lead, and he's probably anticipating I'm going to try and hold on and defend it. And so I actually get a favorable matchup here because I'm aware that Mummy Curse can survive against Shark. I'm quite confident it's not going to lose to the Valkyrie Blast, and I'll be able to secure 1 point finish, although I am very worried because the Blast Blade can get some crits off. But as you can see here, for the most part, Mummy Curse is just comfortable here. I just stop it from catching the rail cleanly, misses that time around, and at this point I'm quite confident that I'm getting that 1 point spin finish, although there's a lot of wobble going on. That is just a case of wedge being wedge. But yeah, once we get that little bit of contact and it stabilizes, I still remain quite confident in getting spin finish. There's obviously that tilt, but I know I've got more stamina, and because of the weight and the height of the Valkyrie lock chip, I'm confident I get spin finish. So now I'm at match point. Shark versus Meteor Dragoon. I'm actually very worried because he burst it earlier in the match, but again, I just tried to stay composed as much as possible and hope that I can just close out this win. So we get the launch, get good hit, and quite early on, and then I get the extreme finish, winning the first round of Top Cut, still undefeated, and yeah, quite confident. So now we go into the semi-finals. Again, another one of the Blast heavy combos, this time with the Emperor lock chip. So Meteor Dragoon, I was quite confident in this matchup, thinking I could destabilize, but then as you can see here, I just get absolutely smashed into the pocket. I'm down 2 points again, but having, you know, the fact that it happened in the previous match and I won it, confident in my ability to turn it around. So I'm actually going up against Silver Wolf. I think this is the only Wolf I played throughout the entire day, which was surprising. So I'm actually a bit worried because I've not played Wolf against Mummy Curse. But again, I'm just thinking to myself, if I can get those early hits in and destabilize it, I should be able to win the spin finish. But I was really concerned in how both gimmicks were going to go up against each other. The free spin of Wolf versus the plastic blade of Mummy Curse. I was a bit worried as to who would come out on top in this scenario. But as you will see, it ended up being favorable for me. End up getting big hits against the Wolf, destabilizing it and getting a comfortable spin finish, to the surprise of some people in the audience.
Blade is ready. 3, 2, 1, go shoot.
So I got Shark against Rod. This one could just swing either way. But it was actually called a midair, luckily, because my Shark was about to go flying out the extreme. So we end up having to reshoot. This time around, again, just recollect myself and just tell myself one matchup at a time. So I make the adjustment this time around to avoid the midair. I go across the stadium, get nice decent hits in, almost get rid of it. It jumps out of the pocket, which absolutely frustrates me, because at this point I'm like, well, it's probably going to get the spin finish. But luckily for me, it was actually losing a lot of steam. And I'm a bit concerned here because I'm like, well, it's going to get the 1 point. And in fact, I get the spin finish. And it's 2-2. I end up telling my friends I deserved that because I should have got at least the pocket finish. But Wizard Rod, being Wizard Rod of 160 Hexa, is going to do, you know, the atypical thing of pocket jumping. So on reshuffle, my opponent puts Wolf first, I put Mummy Curse first, and again, favorable matchup here after having seen what happened previously. Again, good hits early on, and once it comes to the fight for the center, I'm confident that Wolf is not got enough to, you know, bully Curse here. This is the territory of Mummy Curse, and I'm just, honestly, I'm so in love with this Beyblade. I really hope that we get another defense blade of, you know, I think Mummy Curse is S tier in my opinion. Hover Wyvern is an S tier blade, but in terms of defense, it's A tier. I'm not sure if that makes sense. I will definitely try to explain that in later videos when I do breakdowns and stuff. But yeah, in this match here, as you can see, another comfortable spin finish against Wolf. I'm up 3-2, still some long way to go, but I'm confident in my ability to turn it out. And then we get the mirror, so I know we're mirroring each time now, even though we've reshuffled. So obviously I'm in a bit of panic mode considering he pocketed me last time, but I just tried to destabilize, since I'm on left spin, try to destabilize him as much as possible. Almost going out the stadium, I was quite worried about that. Big hits early on, but again, sheer weight of this combo makes it so difficult to play. And as you can see, Meteor Dragoon, I just end up losing a lot of stamina early on, and I'm just unable to destabilize it, and my opponent gets the spin finish. It's 3-3, game's quite close, and once again another mirror. I'm just trying to tell myself to stay calm as much as possible, and I'm not trying to go for the kill here, but as you can see, I end up, the shot just ends up going absolutely bonkers. So I'm actually just very worried. Almost get the extreme, doesn't happen, and I'm like, well, I'm getting scammed out of points again. And I think this time around I end up losing the spin finish. So my opponent's now 4-3 up in match winning territory. One extreme finish and he could take me out. So I tell myself upon the reshuffle that we're still doing this match by match, and again decide to open with Curse just to make sure that I can get myself a lead to tie the game, or just to get a lead. And as you can see here, you actually miss it because my hand's in the way, but it was like really quick contact, which was clean. I ended up getting the over finish. Ends up being 5-4. Shark against Rod. Worried here again, but as you can see, I end up getting absolutely insane over finish, closing the game. I'm 7-4. I'm 8-0 going into the finals, undefeated, and I'm over the moon. My opponent is actually, this is a rematch from earlier, from round 5 of Swiss. So I know my opponent's deck already and how he plays. So I'm quite confident going into this. I opened with Mummy Curse, but I believe it was an early launch on my opponent, so we end up just reshooting anyway. Quite confident again in my ability to get at least a spin finish with Curse. But funny enough, I decided to open with Curse when I was using it second. And as you can see, I get completely psyched out here because Mummy Curse ends up losing by 2 points. And now I'm like, oh no, we are really in the deep end. And I'm just smelling defeat from this point on, despite how early it is in the game. So my opponent's using Impact Drake. I'm using Shark. Get some decent contact in. He loses some steam there. I miss contact. Just a jump right there from Shark. Absolute clutch move. And at this point, I'm quite confident that Shark's just going to get the spin finish. Impact Drake isn't known for stamina. Shark is known for having amazing stamina. And it can beat even the likes of Rod and Meteor Dragoon on elevate, on spin. So I'm very confident that I get the spin finish here and stay in the game, preventing my opponent from getting a much more favorable lead. So he's got Aero Pegasus against Meteor Dragoon. Again, with Meteor Dragoon in attack v attack matchups, I tried to just destabilize as much as possible. In the same vein as Meteor Dragoon, but obviously more aggressive. End up getting some big contact in early. Somehow not getting the over finish, which frustrated me. Again, just not getting what I want. I'm not getting what I want, and it's frustrating me. And at this point, I'm like, well, if he gets the spin finish, I'm absolutely livid. Considering this happened earlier, not with Meteor Dragoon, but with Shark against Rod. And as you can see, I end up losing. And I'm just burning at this point. In my mind, I'm like, I'm on the unlucky end of these finishes. So I kind of go into panic mode, and I'm like, well, this isn't great. But Impact versus Meteor, interesting matchup. Meteor is better of the two in my opinion, but this match is closer than you think. Almost going into the over pocket. Big hits there. And then once I know we're getting into the tail end, where at this point I'm a bit worried, but I'm confident in Meteor Dragoon's stamina compared to Impact. Despite the fact that both have the rubber gimmick, I get the spin finish, and it's currently 3-2 to my opponent. And I rectified a mistake of what I did the first time around, and I put Mummy Curse second, this time against Shark again. Worried here that after he overfinished me that I'm going to lose. We're in the final, so my opponent's really, really good. And the fact that he had beaten the Mummy Curse earlier had me quite worried. Mummy Curse, a lot less stable this time around. However, I do have the more stable build. My opponent was running it on, I believe, 170 low rush. So I knew that once it came to a game of spin, I was going to win it. And as you can see, it's 3-3. Game on still. Going into the third phase. Shark versus Aero Pegasus. And as you can see here, big contact early on. Shark, I'm just, in my mind again, I'm just thinking, please leave with something. And I don't. My opponent pockets me 5-3. 2 points away from winning this match. Going into the reshuffle, I tell myself I just need to play this correctly. I cannot make a mistake here in the reshuffle, otherwise I'm going to lose. So I decided to go Meteor against Shark, and I'm kind of just like, damn it, I've chosen wrong. I'm quite worried about this matchup, but again, I tell myself, although this is an unfavorable matchup, I'm going to let it rip anyway. And what I decided to do here, interestingly, is I should change my grip. So instead of using the grip, I just use the Bay pass to kind of get more power and stability to beat the shark, because I wasn't confident in using the grip. This adjustment was actually, now that I think about it, a really, really, really good choice for me. And I think it's, you know, although I still lost this matchup, it felt better to play, actually. But my opponent gets the spin finish regardless, at match point, 6-3 down, and I tell myself, we're in the business end, no more mistakes. I just need to pull and leave no regrets after this. I've gone 8-0, so in my mind, I'm like, you know, even if I lose this, I've played a great tournament. Mummy against Aero Pegasus. Again, Mummy is my ace bay, so it being almost my decider bay here, as it was. I'm just confident that it will get me the 1 point. So Aero gets some hits off, nothing insanely punishable, nothing insanely crazy. If this was Shark, I'd be a bit more worried. But as you can see here, Mummy doing what I needed to do. And I get the spin finish, going into the third base, and it's Shark versus Impact. In my mind, I'm like, I can go for the kill, but I really don't want to. I just choose to play it mostly safe, and try to get spin finish, because I'm aware that it can end badly for me. I almost get the over finish, almost get extremed, and then I leave with 1 point. So I'm not mad. I'm not mad at all. I'm still in the game. 6-5, and at this point, I've got a decision to make. I tell myself I need to win the game here. I have to win the game. And I think back on the entirety of the tournament and what is best suited to do that, and I decided to go Mummy Curse. I play Mummy Curse first, and I pull off, you know what? Just watch it for yourself.
3, 2, 1, shoot.
Extreme finish to win the tournament, 9 wins and 0 losses. Absolutely ecstatic. I just run over to my teammates, could not believe that I did it. My opponent ends up picking Mummy Curse, and as you can see, the acknowledgement from my opponent into the beast that is Mummy Curse. You can just see him, he's holding it up to the camera that was on the stream, and he says he hates this bay. He absolutely hates it, and for good reason. You know, absolutely clutched it in the end there. My opponent gave me an absolute difficult game in the final, and I couldn't be more grateful for a great match. And that is how we went 9-0 in the God of Braves Last Chance Qualifier. It was an amazing tournament. Shout out to Braves and the guys at Northwest Beyblade. They hosted a great tournament, had a lot of fun. Myself and my teammates did. And yeah, I honestly can't wait to go up there again and travel some more. If there's any communities that you guys think I should visit and come down and blade at, please do let me know in the comments below. I'd love to travel for Beyblade. It's one of my favorite things to do right now. And I love documenting my journey through gear sports and through Beyblade with my teammates. It's just something that's really nice to share with you guys. And yeah, again, thank you very much. If you made it to this far, I'm incredibly grateful. Thank you once again. Leave a like, subscribe if you can. And I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.